What if I told you that 90% of travelers never see the world's true masterpieces? Right now, there are places on Earth so impossibly beautiful that your brain will struggle to accept they're real. Underground galaxies of living light, mountains painted in impossible colors, lakes that mirror infinity itself. While millions flock to the same overcrowded destinations, nature's greatest artworks remain hidden in plain sight. These aren't just pretty places, they're portals to experiences that will fundamentally change how you see our planet. In this video, we explore 25 locations that redefine beauty itself, places so extraordinary they challenge everything you thought you knew about our planet. Each one comes with breathtaking footage, best times to visit, and insider secrets that turn impossible dreams into your next adventure. By the end of this journey, you'll have a bucket list that goes far beyond anything you've ever imagined. We're about to explore underwater rainbows in Indonesia, walk through nature's own cathedral in Chile, and witness the only place on Earth where the desert blooms with lagoons. But first, we're going underground to see something that looks like a galaxy, except it's alive. Picture this. You're floating silently through complete darkness when suddenly you look up to see thousands of blue-green stars twinkling above you. Except these aren't stars, they're living creatures creating their own light. Deep beneath New Zealand's rolling hills, the Waitomo glowworm caves harbor one of nature's most magical illusions. Arachnocampa luminosa, found nowhere else on Earth, dangle silk threads like fishing lines, while their bodies glow with bioluminescent light to attract prey. The boat glides through the underground river in absolute silence. Even whispers can disturb these delicate creatures. Above you, 30,000 glowworms create a living constellation that mirrors the Milky Way. The darker the cave, the brighter they shine, turning the ceiling into nature's own planetarium. Visit during New Zealand's winter months when the worms glow brightest. Book the earliest morning tour when the caves are least disturbed and the glow is most intense. But this underground wonderland is just the beginning. Our next destination takes us to an island so alien. Scientists once thought its plants came from another planet entirely. What if I told you there's a place on Earth where 1/3 of the plant species exist nowhere else in the universe? Socotra Island, isolated in the Arabian Sea for millions of years, evolved in complete solitude. The result? A landscape so otherworldly that botanists initially refused to believe it was real. Dragon blood trees rise like giant umbrellas, their crimson resin once worth more than gold. Bottle trees bulge with water storage, their alien silhouettes defying every rule of botany you thought you knew. The island's beaches gleam white against turquoise waters, while sand dunes shift between valleys of endemic plants. Locals speak Socotra, an unwritten language as unique as the landscape itself. Here, civilization feels like a distant memory, and you're walking through nature's own science fiction novel. Standing among these impossible trees changes your perspective on evolution itself. You realize our planet is still capable of surprises that challenge everything we think we know about life on Earth. Access requires planning. Flights run from Cairo or Sana'a. March to May offers the best weather for exploring this living museum. Next, we're heading to Australia to solve the mystery of a lake that shouldn't exist, one that's been baffling scientists for over a century. Everything you know about lakes is about to be turned upside down. Water isn't supposed to be bubblegum pink. Yet here it is, defying nature itself. From above, Lake Hillier looks like someone spilled paint across Middle Island. This isn't a trick of light or seasonal phenomenon. The water is genuinely, permanently pink. Scientists have discovered the secret lies in microscopic organisms, Dunaliella salina algae and halobacteria, that thrive in the lake's extreme salt levels. The contrast is breathtaking. Pink water meets pure white salt shores, bordered by dense eucalyptus forest, all surrounded by the deep blue Southern Ocean. It's a natural color palette that seems impossible, yet has existed here for centuries. Nature doesn't follow our rules. It creates its own masterpieces. The lake's salinity is so high you could float effortlessly, but swimming is restricted to preserve this natural wonder. Helicopter tours from Esperance offer the only way to truly appreciate this pink jewel, best viewed in the golden hour when the colors intensify dramatically. The pink hue is most vibrant during Australia's summer months, December through February, when evaporation concentrates the salt-loving organisms. But if pink lakes seem impossible, wait until you see mountains that look like they've been painted with every color in existence. Imagine walking into a world where mountains are striped like candy canes, except these colors are 24 million years in the making. The Zhangye Danxia landform stretches across 400 square kilometers of impossible geology. Red sandstone and mineral deposits have been compressed, folded, and weathered into waves of color that ripple across the landscape like a frozen rainbow. Crimson, gold, orange, green, and blue layers tell the story of ancient seas, deserts, and tectonic forces. These aren't painted rocks. They're nature's own masterpiece created through millennia of geological artistry. Iron oxide gives the reds, while copper provides the greens. The striped patterns formed as different sediment layers were compressed at various angles, creating a natural kaleidoscope. Contrary to popular belief, these colors don't change with weather. They're permanent geological features that look different only due to lighting conditions. The best viewing platform offers a panoramic vista that challenges your brain's ability to process natural beauty. Sunrise and sunset transform the colors from subtle pastels to blazing intensity, creating a light show that has inspired Chinese artists for centuries. Visit during spring or autumn for perfect weather and dramatic lighting. The park provides shuttle buses to multiple viewpoints, each offering a unique perspective on this geological wonder. Our next destination takes us deep into Chilean Patagonia, where water has spent 6,000 years carving a cathedral that rivals any human architecture. Hidden in the heart of Patagonia lies a cathedral that no human architect could ever design, and it's still being carved, one wave at a time. General Carrera Lake's turquoise waters have spent 6,000 years sculpting the marble caves into smooth, flowing chambers that pulse with reflected light. The pure white marble walls create natural acoustic perfection, while the glacial lake's incredible blue filters through every surface, painting the caves in shifting shades of azure and sapphire. Kayaking through these chambers feels like entering a living gemstone. The marble has been polished to silk by millennia of gentle waves, creating curves and arches that flow like frozen music. Water levels change with the seasons, revealing different chambers and passages throughout the year. The acoustics inside these caves are so perfect that even whispers resonate with cathedral-like clarity. You realize you're experiencing natural architecture that surpasses human capability. Access requires a journey to one of Chile's most remote regions, but the reward is a boat ride through chambers that feel more like art installations than natural formations. The marble's purity creates an almost spiritual atmosphere, enhanced by the incredible blue light filtering through the water. Visit between December and February, when water levels are optimal for kayaking. The contrast between the white marble and turquoise water is most dramatic during midday, when sunlight penetrates deepest into the caves. But nature's artistry isn't limited to stone and water. Our next destination proves that sometimes the most beautiful accidents create the most spectacular results. What if 7 million flower bulbs could teach you about perfection, timing, and the art of seasonal beauty? For just 8 weeks each spring, Keukenhof Gardens transforms 79 acres into the world's most spectacular living artwork. This isn't just a garden, it's a masterclass in color theory, executed with military precision. The design philosophy here revolutionizes how you think about temporary beauty. Each bed is planned 2 years in advance, with bulbs planted by hand every autumn to create specific color combinations and patterns. The result is a living canvas that evolves daily, teaching visitors that some of the world's greatest art is ephemeral. The Keukenhof River cruise reveals garden designs visible only from above. Massive floral patterns that stretch across multiple fields like terrestrial crop circles made of flowers. Beyond the famous tulips, the park showcases 800 varieties of flowers arranged in the themed gardens. Japanese gardens blend with English landscape design, while contemporary art installations provide striking contrasts to the natural beauty. Visit during the 3rd week of April for peak bloom across all varieties. Early morning hours offer the best light and smallest crowds for photography. Our journey now takes us to Ukraine, where nature has created something that looks more like a fairy tale than reality. Deep in the Ukrainian countryside, nature has been working for decades on a secret project that looks too perfect to be real. The Tunnel of Love near Kleven exists because of a beautifully practical love story. A private railway line, used 3 times daily to deliver wood to a local factory, has been gradually enclosed by trees that arch overhead, creating a living tunnel that stretches for 5 kilometers. The train's regular passage keeps the tunnel perfectly shaped, while nature provides the romantic architecture. In spring, fresh green leaves create a bright cathedral of light. Summer brings dense coverage that filters sunlight into dappled patterns. Autumn transforms the tunnel into a golden passageway, while winter reveals the intricate branch architecture beneath. Sometimes the most beautiful places exist, not despite human activity, but because of it. Local legend claims that couples who walk through the tunnel together and make a wish will see their dreams come true. Whether you believe in magic or not, the tunnel's natural symmetry and living walls create an atmosphere that feels genuinely enchanted. The tunnel is most spectacular in late spring, when the leaves create complete coverage. The train still runs, so timing visits between its 3 daily passages adds an element of adventure. But if living tunnels seem magical, our next destination will show you beauty born from destruction, a fire that's been burning for over 50 years. What if I told you that one of the world's most beautiful sites was created by a mistake that's been burning continuously since 1971? The Darvaza gas crater, known as the Door to Hell, began as a Soviet geological expedition gone wrong. When the ground collapsed beneath their drilling equipment, it created a 70-meter-wide crater that began leaking dangerous methane gas. Engineers decided to burn it off, expecting it would extinguish in days. 50 years later, it's still burning. By day, the crater looks like a mundane depression in the Karakum Desert, but as darkness falls, it transforms into something otherworldly. Hundreds of natural gas flames dance across the crater floor, creating an orange glow visible from kilometers away. The flames never stop, never fade, creating a permanent aurora against the desert sky. Standing at the crater's edge at midnight, you witness the mesmerizing dance of eternal flames while the Milky Way blazes overhead, fire below, stars above. The heat is intense even at the rim, and the roar of burning gas creates a soundtrack that feels both menacing and hypnotic. This accidental monument to human error has become one of the world's most photographed natural phenomena. Visit during new moon phases for the most dramatic contrast between the flames and star-filled sky. The crater is most spectacular just after sunset, when the flames begin to dominate the landscape. Our next destination proves that nature sometimes creates perfect geometric patterns that seem too precise to be natural. Irish legend says giants built these stepping stones to Scotland. Science reveals something even more incredible: volcanic perfection created by pure physics. "60 million years ago, intense volcanic activity created what appears to be nature's own architectural experiment. As molten basalt cooled slowly and evenly, it contracted into perfect hexagonal columns, creating 40,000 interlocking basalt stones that fit together like an enormous natural puzzle." The mathematical precision is extraordinary. Most columns have 6 sides, though some display 5, 7, or 8 sides, all following the natural laws of thermal contraction. These aren't random rock formations, they're geological proof that nature follows mathematical principles with stunning consistency. Walking across these ancient stepping stones changes your understanding of volcanic processes. You realize that destruction and creation are the same force, just viewed from different time perspectives. The Causeway extends both above and below sea level, creating tidal pools and dramatic cliff formations that reveal different aspects of this geological marvel. Storm waves crashing against the geometric columns create one of Ireland's most dramatic natural spectacles. Low tide reveals the most extensive area of columns, while stormy weather creates the most dramatic photography opportunities. The visitor center provides excellent geological context that enhances appreciation of this natural wonder. But Ireland's geometric perfection pales beside our next destination, where light itself becomes the artist. There's a place where light doesn't just illuminate, it creates art that changes every minute of every day. Antelope Canyon exists because of flash floods that carved impossibly narrow passages through Navajo sandstone, but the real magic happens when sunlight enters these slot canyons. The narrow openings create shafts of light that illuminate flowing sandstone walls, creating natural spotlights that seem deliberately placed by an artist. The canyon walls, polished smooth by centuries of rushing water, reflect and redirect light in ways that create an ever-changing light show. Colors shift from deep purple to brilliant orange as the sun moves overhead. Each curve in the canyon reveals new light patterns, new colors, new compositions that exist for mere moments before transforming again. The famous light beams occur only when the sun is directly overhead, creating cathedral rays that illuminate the entire canyon in ethereal light. Photography here becomes an exercise in patience and timing. The same spot can look completely different within minutes as light angles change. The canyon teaches you that beauty isn't just about the location, it's about being present at the precise moment when conditions align perfectly. Upper Antelope Canyon's light beams are most dramatic from mid-March through October, with peak light beams occurring between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Our journey now takes us to Bolivia, where the sky meets Earth in the world's most perfect mirror. What happens when 4,000 square miles of salt flats become the world's largest mirror? During Bolivia's dry season, Salar de Uyuni reveals its geometric perfection, endless white hexagonal salt formations that stretch to every horizon. But when the rains come, a thin layer of water transforms this salt desert into the most perfect natural mirror on Earth. The reflection is so flawless that sky and ground become indistinguishable. Clouds appear to float both above and below you, creating the illusion of walking through infinite space. Flamingos wade through this mirror world, their pink reflections creating perfect symmetry that challenges your perception of reality. At sunrise and sunset, the mirror multiplies the colors exponentially. Every shade of orange, pink, and purple is doubled, creating light shows that seem to extend infinitely in all directions. The Milky Way reflects so perfectly that photographers often can't tell which way is up in their images. This otherworldly landscape sits at 12,000 feet above sea level, where the thin air makes colors more vivid and stars more brilliant. The silence here is profound. You can hear your heartbeat echoing across the salt flats. Visit during rainy season, January through April, for the mirror effect. Dry season offers the hexagonal salt patterns and clearer access to the center of the flats. From Bolivia's infinite mirror, we travel to Turkey's impossible white terraces that look like frozen waterfalls. Imagine waterfalls frozen in time, carved from pure white stone and filled with turquoise thermal pools that seem to glow from within. Pamukkale, meaning cotton castle in Turkish, defies geological logic. For thousands of years, calcium-rich hot springs have deposited white travertine limestone, creating terraced pools that cascade down the hillside like a frozen waterfall. Each terrace holds thermal water at the perfect temperature for bathing, creating natural infinity pools with views across the Lycus River Valley. The white limestone contrasts dramatically with the brilliant blue thermal water, creating a color combination that seems too perfect to be natural. Walking barefoot across the warm travertine, with thermal water flowing over your feet, feels like stepping into a natural spa designed by ancient gods. Above the terraces, the ancient city of Hierapolis adds historical depth to natural beauty. Roman ruins overlook the thermal pools, where emperors once bathed in the same waters that continue flowing today. The thermal springs maintain a constant temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, and the mineral-rich water has been celebrated for its healing properties since ancient times. The calcium deposits continue growing, meaning Pamukkale is constantly evolving and changing. Visit early morning or late afternoon to avoid crowds and capture the best lighting. The white terraces are most photogenic during golden hour when they seem to glow from within. Our next destination takes us north to Iceland, where the sky itself becomes a canvas for one of nature's most spectacular light shows. What if I told you that 93 million miles away, the sun is painting masterpieces directly onto Earth's atmosphere? The northern lights, or aurora borealis, begin with solar storms that hurl charged particles across space at incredible speeds. When these particles collide with Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere, they create curtains of light that dance across the polar sky in colors that seem impossible in nature. Green is most common, created by oxygen at lower altitudes, but the aurora can paint the sky in pink, purple, blue, and even rare red when conditions align perfectly. These lights don't just appear. They dance, pulse, and swirl across the entire sky like living spirits celebrating in the heavens. In Iceland, the aurora season runs from September through March, when long nights provide the darkness necessary to see this celestial performance. The lights can appear anywhere in the sky, from subtle glows on the horizon to explosive displays that fill your entire field of vision. Standing beneath the aurora changes your relationship with space itself. You realize you're witnessing a direct connection between Earth and the Sun, a cosmic dance that makes you feel simultaneously tiny and part of something magnificent. The best viewing requires dark skies away from city lights, clear weather, and patience. The lights can appear suddenly and disappear just as quickly, making each sighting feel like a gift from the cosmos. From the cosmic dance above Iceland, we travel to Myanmar, where 2,000 temples create an earthly constellation. Picture a plain stretching to every horizon, dotted with over 2,000 Buddhist temples rising from morning mist like a city built by gods. In the 11th and 12th centuries, the Kingdom of Bagan constructed over 10,000 temples and pagodas across 26 square miles. Today, 2,217 remain, creating one of the world's most extraordinary archaeological landscapes. These aren't museum pieces, they're living temples where local Buddhists still worship, maintaining a spiritual connection that spans nearly 1,000 years. At sunrise, hot air balloons drift silently over this temple plain, while golden light illuminates the ancient spires. Each temple tells a different story through its architecture, from the massive Ananda temple, with its 4 standing Buddhas, to smaller stupas that dot the landscape like scattered jewels. The scale is overwhelming. From any high temple, you can see dozens of others stretching to the horizon. Each one represents not just architectural achievement, but the faith of a civilization that chose to build their path to enlightenment in stone. The best viewpoint is from Old Bagan, where you can climb several temples for panoramic views. Sunrise and sunset transform the red brick temples into golden monuments that seem to glow from within. Visit during the cool season, November through February, for clear skies and comfortable temperatures. Many temples allow climbing for spectacular views across this ancient sacred landscape. From Myanmar's spiritual monuments, we sail to Vietnam's emerald waters, where limestone giants rise from the sea. What if 2,000 limestone islands decided to rise from the sea and create the world's most spectacular seascape? Ha Long Bay's emerald waters stretch across 1,500 square kilometers, dotted with limestone casts that tower up to 200 meters above the sea. These aren't just rocks, they're ancient coral reefs, raised from the ocean floor and carved by 20 million years of wind and water into impossibly dramatic shapes. Each island tells a story in stone. Some look like giant elephants drinking from the sea. Others resemble ancient castles or sleeping dragons. Local fishermen have named many of the formations, creating a mythology that makes navigating the bay feel like sailing through legends. Hidden within these limestone giants are caves and grottos carved by centuries of wave action. Sung Sud Cave stretches for kilometers underground, its chambers large enough to hold entire cathedrals. Emerald light filters through the cave openings, illuminating stalactites and underground lakes. Traditional junk boats with red sails provide the perfect way to explore this seascape. As you sail between the casts, you realize you're experiencing one of the world's most perfect combinations of geological drama and maritime beauty. The bay is most magical during golden hour, when the limestone cliffs reflect perfectly in the still water, doubling the drama of this ancient seascape. Stay overnight on a boat to experience sunrise and sunset from the water. The bay is most peaceful early morning, when mist adds mystery to the limestone formations. From Vietnam's sea-level giants, we climb to Greece, where monasteries float impossibly in the clouds. How do you build a monastery on top of a 400-meter vertical rock pillar? Very carefully, and with absolutely unshakable faith. Meteora's sandstone pillars rise like stone skyscrapers from the plains of central Greece, carved by millions of years of geological upheaval into formations that seem to defy gravity. In the 14th century, Orthodox monks decided these impossible peaks were the perfect place to build monasteries, literally closer to heaven. Today, 6 monasteries remain active on these rocky pinnacles, accessible only by staircases carved into the cliff faces or by cable cars that swing dramatically through space. The Great Meteoron Monastery sits 613 meters above sea level, offering views that stretch across the entire region. The monks who built these sanctuaries hauled every stone, every beam, every piece of sacred art up cliff faces using ropes and pulleys. Their dedication created something that looks more like fantasy than reality, buildings that appear to float in the clouds. At sunrise, mist fills the valleys below while the monasteries catch the first light, creating scenes that inspired Byzantine artists for centuries. The rocks glow golden while morning clouds drift between the pillars, making the monasteries appear to float in space. Visit during shoulder seasons when mist is more common and crowds are smaller. Each monastery has different opening hours, so planning allows you to experience multiple perspectives on this impossible landscape. From Greece's sky-high sanctuaries, we journey to Canada's pristine wilderness, where turquoise lakes reflect snow-capped peaks. What creates water so turquoise it looks artificial, surrounded by peaks so perfect they seem painted? Banff's famous lakes get their impossible blue color from glacial flour, tiny particles of rock ground to powder by moving glaciers and suspended in the water. This glacial flour scatters light in a way that creates colors ranging from brilliant turquoise to deep sapphire, depending on the season and light conditions. Lake Louise sits like a jewel in a crown of snow-capped peaks, its Victorian-era hotel providing a fairy tale setting that seems designed for royal postcards. Moraine Lake, with its famous 10 Peaks backdrop, creates one of the world's most photographed mountain scenes, and for good reason. The Canadian Rockies here represent mountain scenery at its most pristine. These peaks are young geologically, their sharp profiles not yet worn down by eons of erosion. Combined with the turquoise lakes, vast forests, and abundance of wildlife, Banff creates wilderness scenes that define Canadian natural beauty. In winter, the lakes freeze into skating rinks, surrounded by snow-covered peaks. In summer, hiking trails provide access to hidden alpine lakes and glacial viewpoints that reveal the geological forces still shaping this landscape. Visit in early summer when snowmelt creates the most dramatic lake colors, or in autumn when golden aspens add warmth to the mountain palette. From Canada's mountain lakes, we travel to a tropical paradise where the beach itself glows with living light. Imagine walking along a beach at night, where every footstep creates trails of blue fire and every wave crashes in explosions of electric light. The Maldives' bioluminescent beaches are created by microscopic organisms called dinovlagellates that emit light when disturbed. This isn't just a rare phenomenon, it's a regular light show that transforms ordinary beaches into something from science fiction. As waves break on the shore, they trigger millions of these tiny organisms to flash in unison, creating waves of blue light that pulse across the sand. Walking through the shallow water leaves glowing footprints that fade slowly, while swimming creates trails of light that follow your every movement. The effect is most dramatic on moonless nights when the bioluminescence can compete with the darkness. The warm tropical water means you can swim in this living light show, experiencing something that feels more magical than anything humans could create. Different beaches in the Maldives experience this phenomenon at different times, often coinciding with certain weather conditions and tidal patterns. The best displays occur during warm months, when the organisms are most active. The bioluminescence is best experienced on remote beaches away from artificial light. Several resorts in the Maldives are known for their glowing beaches, particularly on Vadhu Island and Rangali Island. From the Maldives' living light, we journey to Norway's edge-of-the-world cliff that challenges every fear of heights. What drives people to hike 14 hours through Norwegian wilderness just to stand on a piece of rock jutting horizontally from a cliff? Trolltunga, the Troll's Tongue, is a horizontal rock formation that extends 700 meters above Ringdalsvatnet Lake. This isn't just a viewpoint, It's a geological accident that creates one of the world's most dramatic natural platforms. Standing at its edge, you're literally hanging over empty space with nothing but air between you and the valley floor far below. The hike to reach Trolltunga is an adventure in itself, requiring serious preparation and mountain hiking experience. The trail crosses high alpine terrain, offering views of glaciers, waterfalls, and pristine Norwegian wilderness that few visitors ever see. But the real magic happens when you finally step onto the tongue itself. The platform is surprisingly solid, but the psychological impact of standing on rock that appears to float in space is overwhelming. Looking down 700 meters to the lake below triggers primal responses that make even experienced climbers feel dizzy. The photographs from Trolltunga capture something unique: the intersection of human courage and natural drama. Every image tells the story of someone who was willing to push their limits to experience something extraordinary. Best visited between June and September, when trails are accessible. The hike requires proper equipment and physical fitness, but rewards visitors with one of Norway's most unforgettable experiences. From Norway's death-defying cliff, we float to Turkey's fairy tale landscape, where balloons drift over impossible rock formations. What happens when volcanic eruptions, millions of years of erosion, and human ingenuity combine to create a landscape that looks like it belongs in a fairy tale? Cappadocia's fairy chimneys are the result of ancient volcanic activity that covered the region in soft volcanic rock. Over millions of years, wind and water carved this rock into impossible spires, cones, and pillars that rise from the earth like a fantasy landscape come to life. But humans made this natural wonder even more extraordinary. For over 1,000 years, people have carved homes, churches, and entire underground cities into the soft rock. The result is a landscape where nature and human creativity are completely intertwined. At dawn, over 100 hot air balloons rise silently above the fairy chimneys, creating a scene that defines magical travel experiences. Floating above this ancient landscape, while the sun paints the rock formations in golden light, provides a perspective that makes you feel like you're flying through a dream. The underground cities add another layer of wonder. Darvaza extends 18 stories underground. Once housing 20,000 people, these subterranean marvels include churches, wine cellars, stables, and ventilation systems carved entirely from rock. Dawn balloon flights offer the most spectacular views and perfect lighting for photography. The experience is weather dependent, so allowing multiple days increases your chances of flying. From Turkey's fairy tale landscapes, we venture to Venezuela's lost world, where prehistoric mountains hide secrets from the dawn of time. Standing on Mount Roraima's summit is like stepping onto an alien planet that happens to exist on Earth. This ancient plateau, rising 2,800 meters above the surrounding landscape, inspired Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. And once you see it, you understand why. Mount Roraima is a tepui, a table mountain so old it predates life on Earth. Its summit has been isolated for millions of years, allowing unique species to evolve in complete isolation from the rest of the planet. The climb to reach the summit takes you through multiple ecosystems. You begin in tropical rainforest, climb through cloud forest, and finally emerge onto a windswept plateau that looks like the surface of another world. Strange rock formations, unique plants found nowhere else on Earth, and crystal-clear pools create landscapes that challenge your understanding of what's possible. The weather on the summit is dramatic and constantly changing. Clouds roll across the plateau, creating mysterious atmospheres, while sudden rainstorms fill the natural pools with crystal-clear water. The isolation is profound. You're standing on some of the oldest exposed rock on Earth, in a place that has remained virtually unchanged for millions of years. The multi-day trek requires guides and camping equipment, but rewards adventurous travelers with access to one of South America's most extraordinary natural wonders. From Venezuela's prehistoric plateau, we descend to Brazil's impossible desert, where lagoons bloom like jewels in the sand. How does a desert filled with sand dunes also contain thousands of crystal-clear lagoons that seem to appear and disappear like mirages? Lençóis Maranhenses National Park breaks every rule you thought you knew about deserts. This coastal desert receives substantial rainfall during certain months, filling the valleys between sand dunes with temporary lagoons that create an impossible landscape of white sand and turquoise water. From above, the park looks like a massive sheet of white fabric dotted with sapphire jewels. The sand dunes, some reaching 40 meters high, shift constantly with the wind, while the lagoons change size and shape with the seasons. During peak season, the contrast between pristine white sand and brilliant blue water creates one of the world's most photogenic landscapes. Swimming in these desert lagoons feels surreal. You're surrounded by endless sand dunes while floating in warm, crystal-clear water that seems to have no business existing in this environment. Fish somehow find their way to these temporary lakes, adding another layer of impossibility to this natural phenomenon. The best time to visit is between July and September, when the lagoons are fullest and most numerous. The park is accessible from Baraninas, and 4WD vehicles are necessary to navigate the sand dunes. From Brazil's impossible desert oasis, we journey to Croatia's cascading paradise, where turquoise water creates natural staircases. What happens when 16 terraced lakes decide to cascade into each other through a series of waterfalls that seem designed by nature's most artistic architect? Plitvice Lakes National Park represents water in its most creative form. The lakes are connected by a series of waterfalls, cascades and streams that create a natural staircase of turquoise water descending through pristine forest. Each lake sits at a different level, connected to the next by waterfalls that range from gentle cascades to thundering torrents. The secret to Plitvice's beauty lies in its limestone geology. The lakes are formed by natural dams created by calcium carbonate deposits, which continue growing and changing the landscape. This means Plitvice is constantly evolving. New waterfalls form while others change course, making each visit unique. The watercolor changes throughout the day and seasons, ranging from emerald green to brilliant turquoise, depending on light conditions and mineral content. Wooden walkways wind through the park, allowing visitors to walk directly over the crystal clear water and experience the sounds and mists of dozens of waterfalls. Wildlife adds another dimension to this aquatic paradise. Fish swim in the clear waters, while birds nest in caves behind the waterfalls. The park represents a complete ecosystem built around the magic of flowing water. Visit in spring when waterfalls are most powerful, or autumn when fall colors add warmth to the turquoise waters. Early morning offers the best lighting and fewer crowds. From Croatia's cascading paradise, we dive beneath the surface to Indonesia's underwater rainbow kingdom. Imagine diving into water so rich with life that every surface is painted in colors that don't exist anywhere else on Earth. Raja Ampat, meaning Four Kings, sits at the heart of the Coral Triangle, the most biodiverse marine region on Earth. These remote Indonesian islands harbor 75% of all known coral species and over 1,500 species of fish in an underwater rainbow that surpasses any terrestrial landscape. Diving here feels like swimming through a living kaleidoscope. Soft corals in impossible colors, electric purple, neon orange, brilliant yellow, cover every surface, swaying in the current like an underwater forest. Schools of fish move in synchronized formations that shift and flow like liquid silver, while manta rays glide overhead like underwater angels. The diversity is overwhelming. In a single dive, you might encounter walking sharks, schools of barracuda forming silver tornadoes, and tiny pygmy seahorses that are perfectly camouflaged against fan corals. The water clarity allows visibility up to 40 meters, creating underwater vistas that stretch to blue infinity. What makes Raja Ampat truly special is its pristine condition. Remote location and strong conservation efforts have preserved these reefs in their natural state, offering a glimpse of what oceans looked like before human impact. Swimming here changes your understanding of marine biodiversity forever. Best diving conditions occur during dry season, October through April. The remote location requires planning, but rewards divers with some of the world's most pristine coral reefs. From Indonesia's underwater paradise, we climb to our final destination in the Himalayas, where an entire valley becomes a carpet of living color. At 3,600 meters above sea level, in one of the world's most remote valleys, nature creates a floral display so spectacular it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Valley of Flowers blooms for just 4 months each year, transforming from barren alpine terrain into a carpet of wild flowers that stretches across the entire valley floor. Over 520 species of flowering plants create a natural garden that seems impossible at this altitude, where conditions are harsh and the growing season is brief. During peak bloom in August, the valley becomes a living rainbow. Blue poppies, the rare and beautiful national flower of Bhutan, bloom alongside primulas, daisies, calendula, and dozens of endemic species found nowhere else on Earth. The contrast between the delicate flowers and the harsh Himalayan peaks creates one of nature's most unlikely masterpieces. The trek to reach the valley is an adventure through some of India's most pristine wilderness. You pass through traditional villages, cross glacial streams, and climb through forests of rhododendron and birch before emerging into this floral paradise. The thin air at altitude makes every flower seem more vivid, every color more intense. The valley represents nature's ability to create beauty in the most challenging conditions. These flowers bloom for just a few short months, creating their spectacular display and completing their life cycle before winter returns to this high-altitude sanctuary. The valley is accessible only from June to October, with peak blooms in July and August. The trek requires good physical fitness and proper acclimatization to high altitude. We've journeyed together through 25 places that redefine what natural beauty means. From living galaxies in New Zealand caves to Himalayan flower carpets, from infinite mirrors in Bolivia to underwater rainbows in Indonesia, these destinations prove that our planet is far more creative, more impossible, and more beautiful than we ever dared imagine. But here's what I want you to remember. Every single one of these places exists right now. While you're watching this video, glowworms are creating light shows in dark caves, thermal springs are painting white terraces in Turkey, and wildflowers are blooming in impossible Himalayan valleys. These aren't just travel destinations. They're proof that wonder still exists in our world, in an age when we think we've seen everything, when satellite imagery has mapped every corner of Earth. These places remind us that beauty can still surprise us, still take our breath away, still make us feel small and grateful to be alive. You now know about places that 90% of travelers will never see. You're part of a small group who understands that the world's true masterpieces aren't always the most famous ones. Sometimes the most beautiful places are hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to seek them out. Which one will you visit first? Let me know in the comments below, and if this video changed how you think about travel, share it with someone who needs to see that magic still exists in our world. The planet is more beautiful than we deserve. The least we can do is witness it.